To pet or not to pet? That is the question indeed. It is very common for me to get this question, and that's because when I'm working with a client, they often bring it up. They are like, well, I've got the advice of not petting my dog while he's nervous, reactive, because it could be reinforcing the situation. So let's start by understanding why the advice is even alive. Based on my observation, the scenario goes like this. You're walking with your dog on leash, you're here, your dog is here, and the unwanted is coming your way. Usually when that happens, your dog starts to act erratic. It can be just feeling nervous, can even start developing some signs of aggression. So what we naturally do is we pull back on the leash, or we try to yank our dog away from the situation. And I think that's where the problem starts. Not so much the petting. I think the petting is just the icing on the cake. The problems start with the initial reactions. So what happens is, your dog is already on edge, and by applying tension on that leash, you're increasing the unbalanced energy that he has. On top of that, you are nervous yourself, and then you try to interact, you start talking to your dog, and that just adds another layer of chaos, because your dog is already preoccupied enough with what's in front of him for him to try to decode what you're saying. There's no room for reasoning at that point. So I think that you petting him on top of that is just the last straw, if you will. So I think that's why they're saying not to pet, just not to add to that, to those layers. But I think it's too late. The association has already been created, because your dog from that point onwards will react the exact same way. And honestly, I don't think it has anything to do with the petting. So how do I see it? How would I tackle this scenario? Let's start by saying that I'm a big fan of offering emotional support to your dog in the forms of pets, if you will. But I will tweak a couple of things to that scenario to make sure that we are accomplishing what we want to accomplish, rather than blowing in our faces. What I will do right off the bat is, the moment that you see your dog acting nervous when he's in the line of fire, because that's where he is right now, right? Like he's too close to that thing that is making him nervous. So we're gonna take him away from that line of fire, and we're gonna do a quick switcheroo, right? Very, very casual. We're gonna move the leash, move him to this side, and you stay in the middle. Automatically, that will bring down the anxiety, because you are saying, hey, I got it covered, don't worry. You're acting as a shield, and your dog will feel that. We really don't grasp how powerful you being in between your dog and the unwanted is. Like, it's super powerful. It decreases a lot of anxiety. Dogs naturally do that. Whenever there is a lot of energy, some dogs will go and stand right in the middle to decrease the tension. They do that naturally all the time. Why shouldn't we? That alone should help you to start taking energy away, for your dog to very calmly absorb the environment and start processing things differently. On top of that, we're gonna remove all the tension on the leash that we can, right? As long as we are in position. And by that I mean, you have to be in the middle at all times. Like, imagine that you're placing a straight line between your dog, you, and the unwanted. It's always a straight line at all times. If you manage to do that, you won't need any tension on the leash to tackle things. And at that point, because your dog's already in a better mental place to process things, I will put my thumb between the collar and just start petting very gently, very calm. Remember, the goal of all this is not to add energy, is to take away energy. So if you're like, oh, you're gonna be okay, just the movement alone is gonna set him off. We don't want that. We want something. Even sometimes all it takes is just keeping your hand on top of him. You don't have to pet, and you'll see how things start to calm down very naturally. And that's how I think that you can move past those situations. Very often that's all it takes for dogs to be like, oh, this wasn't so scary at all. And you know, the more possible encounters that you can promote, the better for your dog. The dog will start creating a new association that is not dangerous. So I will stop getting so hung up on the details of what to do, and I will focus more on why I'm doing what I'm doing and why do I want to accomplish. I shouldn't stick to a kitchen recipe. I hope this helped you coach your dog to a better life. I'll see you next time.